All right, Ultra Noobs Nation. My name is Reed Nelson. This is Izzy Alcavas. This is This Week in Rec, Week 5, coming to you live from Fridley, where the Killer Beez and the Avengers are locked tight here, 42-49. Killer Beez in the lead, actually. So we'll start off earlier tonight. Players Club, very underrated, potentially sneaky team, defeated the Callahan Auto Parts. Callahan had Callahan was trailing by 6 or 7 with about 30 seconds left. They clawed their way back. This is their attempt at tying the game at the end. 7:30, I think. That was Nate Moore. He comes up a little bit short. Callahan loses tonight to the Players Club. Let's rewind to last night. First, let's start with the Broncos. The Broncos, now we'll talk about your article later, or maybe we'll kind of mix it in a little bit here, but the Broncos were a team that you would, kind of a who's next, or are they next, sort of an ESPN The Magazine type thing. The Broncos lose yesterday to the Muskies in pretty convincing fashion. Talk about that loss to the Broncos.
Well, it's pretty simple. I highlighted the Broncos are very good. They have everything you need to be a successful team. What I also mentioned is how they'd react when the going got tough. And I said they would implode, and they did, right? They just don't, with Adam, Xavier, Calvin, those guys you can rile up and you can turn a game on its head as the opposition by using those guys as emotion. And that's what the Muskies did. They pressured the ball from this tip, full court press, and they got in the Broncos' head. They never let them get comfortable. And the Broncos don't really have a true point guard. They have makeshift point guards, Calvin, and Adam, but they're not really true point guards. They're more off the ball type of guys. So my big concern was they would not handle being down well, and it's exactly what happened. So a little premature on their part for the excessive celebration. I fed them all they needed. I was in full support of them, but my big thing was how they'd react when they were down, and that was my worry, and they have a lot to work on.
Abdi Muhammad's injury, I don't know if he's out for the year. What does that do to both the Broncos and the Killer Beez? Another team that you discussed on your kind of Who's Next article.
Well, it's huge for both teams. I mean, the Bees look good. I mean, they're up 12 now. So the Bees look good without Abdi right now as it stands. But in the long run, they're going to need him. I think he's having an MRI on his knee Friday, or maybe he had it today. Haven't talked to him and asked him how it went, but he needs to be healthy. Whatever they need to do to put the two sticks back together, tape it up, but they both need him. So maybe they can all pitch in to go get some horse placenta. Is that what it is?
I don't know. Michael Morris, alley-oop dunk, play of the year so far?
That was sick.
For those in attendance, I caught the end. It was like one of those out of the corner of your eye things where you're like, what just happened? But he kind of kicked Tom Jacobson on the way down, and Tom was not happy at all. So, yeah, that was a pretty sweet play. But the Muskies get the better end of that. Another big story from yesterday, the Paul Ferber-less, serving a 2-game suspension, Rebels still defeat the Gorillas, who are without Bryant, Justin, but the Rebels were without Paul and Patrick. So was it really even a true Rebels-Gorillas game, or was it more like an exhibition?
It didn't feel like it was the same without Paul out there. Him and Helmy are potential for the Tex. There's no Tex in that game. It was still a really aggressive game. I think they were up 13-2 right out of the gate. We switched into man in the second half, and it made it really difficult on them. They couldn't get the rhythm, kind of broke the rhythm, and they couldn't get it back in that game. Probably something we should have implemented earlier. We talked about it. But the Rebels are just so damn good, regardless of who they put out there, because Jansen and DuPont are machines, And Cody's, their scorer now, and he's really efficient. I think he went 4 for 5 from deep. Just a great offensive player. Doesn't matter if Paul's there or not. They still got Klub, who's taking up all that space. In the playoffs, Paul needs to be there, obviously. In the regular season game, and they can win one without him, which they did.
Let's talk a little bit more about your article that you wrote earlier in the week. It's linked on this page if you haven't read it yet, sort of, again, like a who's next. The third team you discussed was it the Klub? Yep. So Klub win tonight. Now, talk about, what the Klub needs to do potentially to be a contender come playoff time.
Well, they need a seventh guy. They beat the Pigeons tonight with no Justin DuPont, no Will Chalfant running Iron 5, and I just got done playing 4-on-4 in St. Louis Park for 44 minutes. So I basically just walked up and down the court, and I was so tired. And they're talking a lot of jazz, and that's the Klub, though. They're over-emotional when they're losing, and they're over-emotional when they're winning. It never works for them. They've never been successful doing that, and they've never been a successful franchise long-term. Doesn't matter if they bring Devin, whatever his name is, he's not going to put him over the top because he's just another guy like that, just another yapper. And Zip is the exact opposite of Zip. All he does is talk the entire game. Great talents. They're all really good players, but they just don't shut up. And in the playoffs, when you got teams that are grinding out and they got a full roster, they're going to get bounced right away. They don't have a big man. Xavier's their big man. It's not going to work.
Okay, the Bees are up here, 19 points with 10 minutes to go in the game. The Avengers haven't lost in a while.
16 games? 15 games?
So what does this do to the land? Okay, first off, what does this do to the confidence of the Killer Beez? Losing Abdi and still rolling potentially over the Avengers.
I don't think confidence is a problem for the Bees. I mean, come on. Look at their roster.
Okay, what does this do for the land?
They could lose by 30 tonight, and they would still think that they're the best team in the league. So it's not a confidence issue. What I'm more concerned about is now, do the Avengers start to play better now that the win streak is over and they can focus on getting better and winning the playoffs? That's the true key, because getting beat by, they're up down 17. It would take a really impressive run to win this game, and if anybody's going to do it, it's them. Without Noe, without Greg, they still should be able to win this game because, like you said, Abdi's not in attendance, and that's their main scorer for the Bees, him and Tuan. So I don't know what it's going to mess everything up in the top 6. Who moves to number 1 now? Broncos lost, the Avengers lost. That drops. Do the Bees go up to 1? Are we going to have a Fridley team at 1? They have to, right? Undefeated, and they beat the Avengers. They'll move up to 1. The Rebels back up to 2. And now it's going to be a mixed bag the rest of the way down. Awesome. We love upsets.
Well, and look at some of these franchises that have been here for now. The Muskies, the Broncos, the Bees that are legit Gold Cup contenders. Somebody last year on the message board said, well, there's no parity. And I'm like, our last 6 champions have been different. There's nothing but parity in this league now. It's absolutely insane that you would think otherwise. So I like the Avengers, but I love seeing this. It's just, this is good for the league. And hopefully this holds. Well, I'm not saying hopefully it holds, but I just did. So change at the top.
Yeah, there's nothing. Ideally, we'd like to have no undefeated teams going to the playoffs, which now there's only 1 left, or 2, Klub and Killer Beez. And they both play in a weak Fridley.
Yep.
The Klub might have the Avengers left, and the Bees might have, their next only potential loss is against the Klub or maybe the Pigeons, but the Pigeons can't show up with more than 5 guys every week, so, let's kind of calm that train. But we need to have a not undefeated team going to the playoffs. It'll make a committee seating meeting
much more fun.
And it's like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Committee meeting. But
it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what Brandon comes out in the power rankings, and he's going to get smashed by everybody, but how much he sucks at writing, and he's a moron. And then at least it's going to cause a lot. Alan's going to love this. A lot of clicks.
Another quick few announcements while you think of anything else you want to discuss this season or this week. We are going full jersey next season. And what does that mean? We are requiring that you wear either a matching team jersey or an Ultimate Hoops jersey. We announced this last quarter. The only difference is that we will have jerseys available during league night. So you'll be able to purchase a jersey during league night. So, again, I'll make this reminder next week. I'll make it the week after that. But matching team jerseys or Ultimate Hoops jerseys. And you do not need to have those matching team jerseys approved by the league. You just can have matching team jerseys. So there's only a few teams that this is going to affect. I play on one of them. So, but I think overall it's going to be good for the league. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, everything being uniform is important. I think a lot of teams have them. I mean, both teams in this game have them. It just looks a lot better.
Great.
You know, like the Klub, Pigeons have them. The Klub didn't. The Klub have, you know, one guy wearing his jersey backwards, the other guy wearing it upside down, inside out. One guy wearing a do-rag with a number on it. That's not a jersey. Do-rag with a number is not a jersey.
Was that Adam?
It was nobody. I just made it up. But I mean, everybody believed me for a second, right? It's the Klub. Cut.
All right. Thank you, Station. We'll see you next week.